There's a huge debate happening in India right now about work-life balance, and it has officially reached Parliament. We're talking about new proposals for a right to disconnect, basically a legal shield against that always-on work culture that's kind of blurred all the lines between our jobs and our personal lives. So let's break it down.
You know that feeling, right? That little jolt of anxiety when a work notification pops up late at night. If you've felt it, you are definitely not alone. This constant connection from our phones and laptops has created a culture where so many of us feel like we have to be available 24/7. Well, that feeling, it actually has a name.
Yep, it's called telepressure. It's that nagging feeling in the back of your mind, that compulsion to answer that message right now, even if you're officially off the clock. It's a huge driver of modern workplace stress, and honestly, the consequences are getting pretty hard to ignore.
And look, the price we pay for this constant pressure is way more than just feeling a little tired. We're talking about some very real, clinically recognized problems: serious sleep deprivation, total emotional exhaustion, and chronic stress. It all leads to digital burnout, and this state some researchers are calling info-obesity. You know, that feeling of just being overwhelmed, drowning in a flood of information you can never ever escape.
So what's the answer to this growing crisis? Well, lawmakers are putting forward a solution. It's an idea that's already picking up steam around the world, and now it's being seriously debated right here in India. Let's get into exactly what this means.
Now, here's the crucial point. It's a statutory right. That means it's not just a nice suggestion or a company wellness poster. It would be the law. You would have the actual legal right to ignore that late-night call or that weekend email without having to worry about being penalized for it.
And get this is what gives the whole idea so much weight. We're not just talking about a labor issue here. Supporters are framing it as a constitutional right. They're arguing that having a private life, free from your boss pinging you at all hours, is a fundamental part of the right to life and personal liberty under Article 21. That really elevates the entire conversation, doesn't it?
Okay, so how is India actually trying to make this happen? Well, it's kind of like a two-pronged attack. There's an effort happening at the national level, and at the same time, another one at the state level. Let's put them side by side.
All right, so you can see the two key proposals here. On one hand, you have the central bill from MP Supriya Sule. It's aimed at companies with more than 10 employees and wants to set up a big national authority to enforce it. Then you have the Kerala bill, which is zeroed in on the private sector just within that state, using more local district-level committees. And check out the unique focus here. The central bill talks about big fines and even digital detox centers, which is interesting, while the Kerala bill goes even further to tackle things like intrusive workplace surveillance.
Now, both of these bills have some real teeth, but the central bill? Wow. It includes a penalty that's designed to make companies sit up and pay very, very close attention. 1%. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but hold on. It's 1% of the company's entire employee wage bill. For a large corporation, that is a massive financial penalty. It's a serious warning shot designed to make violating these rules incredibly expensive. It's super important to remember, India isn't making this move in a vacuum. Not at all. This is part of a much bigger, global conversation about what work is going to look like in the digital age. In fact, several countries have already put their own versions of this right into law. And you can see how different countries have taken really different approaches. France, for example, was a pioneer with its negotiation-based model, which forces companies and employees to talk about it. Australia just recently went with a more flexible reasonableness standard. And then you have Portugal, which went for a strict, outright ban with some pretty hefty fines. So you can see India's proposed model with that big financial penalty is definitely leaning toward the stronger, more direct end of the spectrum.
So let's say this law passes. What happens next? I mean, what would this actually look like in the real world? Because making a law is one thing, but actually implementing it across India's incredibly diverse economy, well, that's a whole other challenge.
And as you can imagine, the debate is pretty heated. This chart gives you a good feel for it. Of course, employees and unions are strongly in favor. They see it as a lifeline against burnout. But then you have the big IT and BPO sectors, and they're worried it could hurt their ability to compete globally. Startups and smaller businesses are apprehensive about the costs. And finally, you have wellness experts who say, yeah, this is great, but a law by itself won't be enough to fix a toxic culture.
And that brings us to the really tough questions, the major hurdles. I mean, the biggest one is cultural. How do you pass a law that changes a mindset? Then there are the practical things, like what legally counts as an emergency. How do you make exceptions for critical fields like healthcare without creating massive loopholes for everyone else? And maybe the most important question for the modern economy,
How do you protect gig workers who don't have traditional 9 to 5 hours?
And really, that's the ultimate question here, isn't it? A law can draw a line in the sand, it can create penalties, sure, but can it actually shift those deep-seated expectations of being available all the time? Or is this law just firing the starting gun on a much, much longer conversation about what we truly value?
Hey, if this breakdown helped you get your head around the right to disconnect, do me a favor and share it with your colleagues. It's definitely a conversation worth having. And of course, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next deep dive.
But now, I really want to hear from you. What's your take? Is the right to disconnect an essential protection for the modern worker, or is it a step too far? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's talk about it.